Artist Way video. This week, we're going to be looking at week 7, 8, and 9 of the Artist Way. Look, I'll be honest, motivation is low. The main thing that is keeping me going is the commitment that I've made to making these YouTube videos. So here I am. We are striving for progress and not perfection by any means. But let's get started. So week 7, again, looking at my notes as always on the side, week 7, I've really enjoyed the readings this week. The topics of perfectionism and risk really spoke to me. I've got a quote written down here that I really loved. Perfectionism is not a quest for the best. It is a pursuit of the worst in ourselves. The part that tells us that nothing we do will ever be good enough, that we should try again. No, we should not. I thought this quote was a really unique way of describing perfectionism. It really hit home for me. Julia goes on to talk about how art is actually never finished. Whether it's a painting, book, film, whatever it is, you can actually just keep tweaking it and changing it forever. But at a certain point, you actually have to choose to stop, let go, and move on from it onto the next thing. A really normal part of creativity is actually learning to let go. Not letting go and holding on to it and continually feeling like it could be better, and changing things and chipping away at it really takes away from its originality and uniqueness and sort of the true essence of what it is. And usually, perfectionism is what causes that kind of mentality. So, yeah, this was just a really unique take on it, I thought. So, my artist date this week was my favorite one by far. I went to Amie Mcnee's book tour in Melbourne at Emporium. I don't know if you guys know Amie Mcnee, but she is the most inspiring, just a all-round wonderful human being. You can go find her on Instagram at Inspired to Write if you don't know her already. She is a creative coach. She's an author. She's many things, but yes, they're probably the two main things. This was easily one of the highlights of my year. I got to hear her speak in person. She is just as powerful, and she just really captures you and your attention, and you're just fully sucked in when she starts talking. Yeah, there were numerous times where I felt teary and I had goosebumps. And then after she spoke about her book and answered some questions, we got to line up and get our book signed and get a photo with her, which of course I did. But yeah, check her out. If you are also a fellow creative and you don't know who she is, you will love her.
And I think we so often sideline the arts as something that is frivolous, something that is, just decorating the world, and we don't understand that the arts impacts this world, that it changes it, that it is political, that art is activism, that art helps and makes communities thrive, that it helps us physiologically thrive. Like, we have lived in a culture that has made us and forced us to underestimate the arts. And so a part of why I wrote this book is because we need to understand that what we do as creatives is world-changing, and we have never, ever needed it more.
Alrighty, moving on to week 8, starting with a strong quote that I've written down. I really love this one as well. In order to move through loss and beyond it, we must acknowledge it and share it. The unmourned disappointment becomes the barrier that separates us from future dreams. So in week 8, Julia talks a lot about surviving artistic losses. And by this, she means acknowledging, mourning, and moving through to the other side, moving forward so we can create again, essentially. Examples of artistic losses would be people not buying your work, or not being picked by a gallery, or really bad criticism from someone. It can literally look like anything that causes us to feel really shit and blocked and makes us not want to make again. So in my previous video, I mentioned that from the years of 2020 to 2022, I had a ceramic business where I made functional and sculptural pottery. I did both hand building and wheel throwing at the time. And yeah, things were going well. My Instagram account was growing. I had a website as well that I was working on, which I really loved. I did some market stalls. I did a really big one at Royal Exhibition, a part of the big vegan market, which did really well as well. I was, everything was on track and going really well. And then in 2022, I went overseas with my husband, just traveling, came back, and I just couldn't bring myself to touch clay again. That was it. I just didn't want to think about it. I dreaded going into like my little home studio. I just pretended like almost like I never did that. I hated answering questions whenever someone would say, "Oh, how's your pottery business going?" I didn't really want to talk about it. And that for me was artistic loss there. Something about it was an artistic loss. Now, working on the artist way and especially working on week 8, I know that this is something that really needs to be explored. And I've been trying to journal about it and think about it, and just give it space and time to unravel and unfold and let it move through me so that it won't stop me from creating again. Because basically, since then, I haven't really made anything at all. I'm going to read you guys part of my journal entry in regards to this topic. Um, I feel like it summarizes things pretty well. If I can find it. Okay, I found it, and I think we are losing some sunlight. But anyway, I think it's time to reopen the case of why I abruptly just stopped clay and chai. There are many potential reasons, but ultimately, I think my negative thoughts, anxiety, comparison, imposter syndrome, and simply not feeling good enough won out. I couldn't take the negative self bashing that was going on in my head. It was draining, and I started to believe it. I also think I expected to grow faster than I did. So every drop that didn't sell as I had expected, or if an Instagram post didn't gain as much traction as I thought, I just thought I was shit. Too much weight was placed on external factors outside my control, and I lost sight of why I was making anything. I also think there was a burnout element to it because I continued to accept projects either for money or because I didn't know how to say no since the request was from a family or friend. I made so many things where I undercharged or didn't care about the piece at all. I did it because I felt I had to in order to not disappoint that person so they don't think I'm stuck up or unkind. Ultimately, I think the combination of burnout and negative self talk, imposter syndrome, and comparison killed my creative spirit. And now I'm desperately trying to revive it. So, Amie Mcnee wrote a book called We Need Your Art. And in that book, she talks about how feelings such as this, especially feelings of imposter syndrome, can lead to burnout. If you keep feeling these things and if you keep getting bogged down by them, fighting against it, you just like I just don't feel strong enough to fight against it after a while because it just chips away at you over time, slowly, bit by bit, to the point where I just feel so small and so weak that the imposter syndrome wins and I just don't have anything left and I'm too burnt out to challenge it or to make anything. I just felt so deeply not good enough. It's crazy. If someone else made the exact same piece of work that I had made at the time, I would never ever think that ever. I would probably think it was so cool and so great and then be inspired by it. But there's something about me making it where yeah, I was just so hard on myself. No shit, it was gonna get me down and eventually make me stop. Like, how long can someone keep going in that mental climate? I don't know. I guess it was a lot of things that caused me to stop. I just couldn't win against all these negative thoughts. And clearly, there's a lot of work that I have been doing and yet to be done so that this kind of thing doesn't happen again and stop me from making for years on end. Reading this now kind of reminds me that I still sort of think this way, maybe not to this extent anymore, but I guess the true test of that will come when I actually start making. It's easy to talk when I'm not actually making anything yet. My artist date in week 8 was a at-home photography date. I was waiting for the perfect opportunity to plan an elaborate artist date, go out and get a little drink and like really, get out of the house, do something really different. And I have done that for previous dates, but This particular week, my husband was sick, my daughter was sick, we had a ton of family commitments, we had so much going on, and there was just no way I was going to be able to get out for like, 2, 3, 4 hours straight and go anywhere too far. So I kept waiting and waiting, and eventually got to a point where it was like, I either do this artist date or I don't do it at all and I skip it. And I didn't want to skip it. So eventually I realized that I have to change my perception of what an artist date needs to look like. It needs to fit the time I have available, my capacity, what I can realistically do. It needs to fit that. And if I just keep waiting for this like perfect scenario, it's never going to come and I'm not going to be able to do it. Or maybe it will come, but like in a long time away. So yeah, I need to make it fit my reality. And I did. I picked up my camera and I decided that I was just going to walk around my front yard and my backyard and take some photos and just do something small and creative for myself. And even though I did it for, yeah, about 30, 40 minutes, it was so refreshing, meditative, and it just changed up my headspace completely. Hit reset on it, honestly. It was such a small thing, but it made a big difference. So finally, week 9, I've got another quote here. I love my quotes, clearly. We're more comfortable being a victim of artist block than risking having to consistently be productive and happy. So there were so many quotes I loved this week. It was my most highlighted section of the book so far. It is really, really uncomfortable taking the next step. It is so much safer and so much easier to just imagine all the things you're going to make and all the things you're going to do. I get the same dopamine hit from just thinking of a cool idea, even if I never make it. It's easy to stay small and safe like that. You can never make any mistakes if you've just imagined it and you haven't actually physically done anything or changed anything in your life. That's not how we make art. Making art isn't just sitting there and imagining things in your head, it's actually doing the scary thing and starting and physically making something or writing something or making music or whatever it is that you do. It is terrifying to start, but like there's no choice. If you want to be an artist, if you want to be a creative, there is no choice. So Julia goes on to talk about the importance of baby steps, especially when it feels this scary to you to start something. If you are just as scared as I am, baby steps are the way to go. Do not underestimate how small a baby step can be. It can be really, really small. So I have a spare table in my house. I thought maybe I could do small hand-built projects is sort of what I have been thinking about. And I've got a spare table in a tiled area and it's got all this random crap on it. Just it's like the junk table. And the thought of clearing all that stuff off the table and then going to the garage and bringing the clay and setting that all up, it feels too overwhelming. It feels like too much work. And I've been looking at that table every single day and not doing anything about it. So the task that I've set for myself is to literally remove one thing from that table every day until it's empty. And you might laugh, you might not, I don't know. But that level of work is doable to me. I can remove one thing, and I have been doing it. In fact, some days I removed 2 or 3 things. That's sort of where I'm at. I haven't actually brought the clay to the table yet, I will be honest. But yeah, don't underestimate how small a task can be. Like the point is progress, and I'm making progress. One of the tasks this week was to write your artistic goals for the year. And it seems like a timely time to do this because it is mid-year and I cannot believe it, but there's only half of the year left. So no better time to write down your goals for the rest of the year than now. So the things I've got written down is get back into ceramics and work on one new project every couple of months. So roughly 3 completed pieces by the end of the year. Doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter how small or how big it is, just 3 things I can say that I've made, anything at all. And these 3 things have to be for fun and learning, not for sales, not for someone else, none of those things, just because I really thought it was cool and wanted to make it. The second thing is complete some form of ceramic education, like a workshop or a course. Number 3, go on an artist date once a month. I think I'm starting to get nervous that once this program is over, I'm never going to go on an artist date again. But I'd really like to keep some time aside for myself every so often. Maybe not every week. That is quite difficult, but maybe once a month. I think that's fair. And number 4, try at least one new art medium before the year ends. So not ceramics, just one new thing, just for fun. I just want to feel like art is fun and I want to feel like I'm doing it for me. That's all I've got to say for this video. Thank you so much for watching. As always, speak soon.